Representative Zoe Zephyr is from the state of Montana. And the state of Montana is northern U.S. Some people consider it Midwest. It's on the Canadian border. And Montana, as a state, is one with, some very interesting landmarks. Very beautiful state if you've ever seen it on Google Maps. But it does have one notable issue, and it's that it is a highly, highly, highly conservative state that is starting to border on fascism. So, Zoe Zephyr is a representative. She is a trans woman. She's a representative, I believe, Montana's State House District 100. And she recently spoke out against bills, anti-trans bills that were being passed in the state of Montana. And due to her saying that the people passing these bills had blood on their hands, she was basically banned from debating on the Montana House floor because of her actions. And there's been a lot of uproar due to this. She's banned from debating on the Montana House floor until May 6th, I believe. And we'll see how this goes down here. So, this is a tweet from Hank Green. Hank Green, a lot of you may know. Hank Green is one of the Green brothers. I believe Hank Green is the science one of the brothers. He's not the one who wrote The Fault in Our Stars, but he's actually part of Representative Zephyr's House District. And he says, Representative Zephyr represents me. Some lawmakers convinced that they should be in charge of healthcare decisions have 5 days left to pass a budget. Why? Because exploiting anxiety and driving wedges between Montanans is the only way they know how to win. Yeah, and this is Zephyr's response to this. In a disturbing affront to democracy, today the Montana House of Representatives voted along party lines to ban me from the House floor, effectively stripping me of the ability to represent my 11,000 constituents in debate. After silencing me for a week, they then proceeded to silence hundreds of Montanans who showed up to demand that their representatives' voice be heard. As the House debated my punishment, I stood unwaveringly in defense of my constituents, my community, and democracy itself. In recent months, the legislature has launched a relentless assault on the LGBTQ+ community, introducing bills that aim to undermine our art forms, our literature, our history, and our healthcare. As I confronted the ban on gender-affirming care and exposed the grievous harm these bills inflict, I held those responsible to account. Subsequently, Speaker Rager denied me the right to be heard on any bill moving forward. When I continued to not be recognized, Montanans gathered to support my right to speak on behalf of my constituents. When the Speaker refused to acknowledge me, they raised their voice in protest. As he attempted to gavel them down, what he was really doing was driving a nail into the coffin of democracy. But you cannot kill democracy that easily, and they persisted in chanting, "Let her speak," joining in our country's great history of protesting on behalf of democracy. And as I raised my mic, I sought to amplify their voices in solidarity. Though the Republican supermajority has voted to strip me of my ability to partake in debate, I remain steadfast in my commitment to my community. I will continue to make the difficult moral choices necessary to stand up for people who entrusted me with their representation. My gratitude for those who spoke out on these principles is boundless, and I pledge to always stand up for them and to tirelessly advocate for democracy in the state of Montana. With pride and determination, Zoe Zephyr. So let's talk about this a little bit. Zoe Zephyr was silenced by a fascistic state government. The silencing of Zoe Zephyr here is a representation of the larger trend of states with Republican supermajorities to silence people who disagree with them. This is a facet of authoritarianism, and this is a larger symbol of the fascism that has been at play in the United States as of recent, especially coming from the Republican Party. And this is terrifying. And you should be terrified of this. Flat out. This is scary that this is something that is happening in our states. In these United States, this is scary. Yeah? And there have been people coming out in protest in favor of Zoe Zephyr, and she's kept pretty well in keeping up with her duties as a representative. Though they initially tried to have me removed from the public seating area, I am here working on behalf of my constituents as best as I can to give. Given the undemocratic circumstances, I'm talking to legislatures, listening to debate, voting on bills, and fighting for democracy. She is still continuing to do her job as a representative. If we go to Aaron Reed, who's also another very popular, I believe Aaron Reed is a trans woman. Let me get some pronouns. I'm not getting any pronouns, unfortunately. I believe Aaron Reed uses she, her. But Aaron Reed is another prominent trans woman. I believe she's actually with Zoe Zephyr, if I'm remembering one of her tweets correctly when she called Zoe one of her partners. But we see here that people in Montana are actively protesting the fact that Zoe Zephyr has been silenced. Again, this is a deep red state. Montana is a deep red state. And you have people protesting, holding up queer positive flags, holding up trans flags, and chanting in favor of letting Zoe speak in the legislature. And this is what I have to say on this. No matter what happens in our states, I'm going to say this and I'm going to say this now. Do not abandon red states at all. Do not abandon red states. Do not abandon queer people in red states, especially. And do not think that the battle is lost in these red states, because it is still live and it is still going. Okay? I live in the state of North Carolina, which is very rapidly becoming a red state. Our state legislature just effectively flipped red because one of our representatives in one of our districts, I believe, changed their party. Our margins were that close. And we do have a Democrat governor, but it's not like he can do much because his veto-proof majority is gone now. He used to be able to veto bills, and he can't do that anymore because it'll get overturned. What is going on in these states is horrible, and what you should be doing is A, helping the people who are most affected by this kind of horrible legislation get out of these states. If you have the ability and you have the connections to help get these people out of their states, help them get out of them as much as possible. But also do not lose hope in these states' ability to flip. I'll show you all something very important. So we all know Ron DeSantis. He is the chief, I guess you could say, chief fash in terms of the United States. He is the most, like, some people might say Trump is the chief fascist. In terms of people who I actually do believe are not just opportunists and actually do hold these beliefs in their heart, Ron DeSantis is arguably the most explicit of these. And I want to show you something. In the, I believe, 2018 Florida governor's race, the margins were very, very, very thin. Between Ron DeSantis and Andrew Gillum, who was the Democrat running, For Florida, these were the margins we saw. Ron DeSantis did win, but the difference between them, this was a 0.4 difference. This was a 0.4 difference. Let me do the math between the numbers, actually, if I may. Minus 32,463 people could have flipped this vote. Which, for a state like Florida, with a high population, isn't a lot. And keep in mind, too, Andrew Gillum, as a figure, was someone who was revealed to have cheated on his wife in meth-fueled gay hotel orgies. I'm not kidding. I'm not lying. I'm not having a joke. Andrew Gillum, the Democrat running in this race, cheated on his wife in meth-fueled gay hotel orgies. And he still came really close to winning this governor's race in Florida. Probably because he's like a chief Florida man, but you know what? It's what it is. The fact of the matter is, in states like Montana, in states like Florida, in states like Texas, a lot of people think that these states are deep red, and that isn't necessarily true. Because there will always be bastions of progressivism in these states. There will always be areas of these states where progressives can win, and there will always be areas of these states where progressives will win. Flat out. And to abandon these states and to abandon peoples in these states as lost causes because of what's going on in them is a disservice to all of these people who are unfortunately suffering under these states. And I heavily implore people to not do it. Flat out. There is so much more that can be done to help people in these states escape this persecution. And part of that is calling out things that are happening in states like Montana with the censuring and the prevention of Representative Zephyr from speaking on the House floor. There are things that we can do in order to support our allies, in order to propagate them in government, and to make sure that people's rights are protected. There are things that we can do to make our lives better in these states. There are things that we can do to make things safer for everyone. And abandoning these states is not a good thing. You cannot abandon these states because then you let people win. You have to fight until the bitter end. You have to vote, as much as you may not like the representative or the governor or whatever. Vote. Make sure that people aren't able to take supermajorities in state congresses. Make sure that Republicans are not able to take state Supreme Courts. Make sure that Republicans are not able to take national courts or national governments, like Congress, like the presidency, like the Senate. Make sure that they aren't able to take these keys to power. Because the moment they take these keys to power, and they are strong and secure in this, they will do whatever it takes to maintain it. We are at an impasse now in the United States of America, where we are being faced down with an authoritarian takeover, which is slowly but surely trying to take hold of our democracy and ruin it from the inside out. And you have to fight to preserve democracy. It is not a given. It is not going to abandon forever. It's not going to stay forever. We cannot let these people win. And you can be doomer. No, don't be doomer. You can be sad about it. You can be scared about it. You can be afraid about it. I am. You can make plans to leave the country if things come to be that bad. I have. I know many other people who have. And who have made plans to escape the red states that they live in case things go to worse. But that doesn't mean that you should be abandoning people in these states. You should help people. You should fight as long as you can fight, and you should make sure that people are protected, because other people do not have the same opportunities, do not have the same advantages, do not have the same connections as you do. And even if you think that it is a small little thing that you are doing, you can still prevail. Zoe Zephyr is a trans woman who is a state representative in a red state. If she can do it, you can. If she can do it, I can. If she can do it, anyone can. You need to fight for your rights. You need to fight for your life. You need to vote like your life depends on it, because it does. You need to organize like your life depends on it, because it does. You need to plan like your life depends on it, because it does. Update your passports. Learn how to defend yourself if you need to do so from violent mobs who may try to come to get you because you're queer. Get involved in politics. Do whatever it takes to ensure that we can protect American democracy. Because once it's gone, it's going to be very difficult to get back. And you need to fight to make sure that you can get it back. But you have to be proactive with this. A couple of months ago, I got into a little bit of hot water on Twitter because I said that anti-electoralism, going against voting, not believing in voting, is anti-black. I said it was anti-queer. I said it was pro-capitalism. I said it was pro-climate change. I said it was anti-trans. And you want to know why? Because when you don't vote, you let politicians that are Republicans enter office. You need to make sure that you are using your civic liberties to ensure that these demons do not get access to keys to power. That these people who want to deprive you of your rights do not get access to these keys to power. Because once they have it, they aren't going to give it away. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to stand up for your rights. And if you don't do that, you're helping the very people who are trying to steal them from you. Anti-electoralism is anti-trans because not voting is allowing the anti-trans politicians to enter power. Anti-electoralism is anti-POC because by not voting, you're allowing the anti-POC politicians to enter power. Anti-electoralism is pro-climate change because by not voting, you're letting the candidates who do not give a shit about what happens to our planet enter power. You cannot be neutral on a moving train. Flat out. You need to exercise your rights as long as you have them to ensure that you don't have to fight for them in the future. And that's all I have to say on this. I wish Representative Zephyr all the best. I hope what happened in the state of Montana flips to the point where things become better in that state for queer people to exist. And I hope things go well going forward. I love you all. Stay safe. Thank you for watching this segment. If you liked it, follow me on Twitter. Links in the description down below. You can also join the Discord. Links in the description down below as well, so that you know whenever I go live. And also so that you can suggest content to me, which you can also do by commenting. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. You know how it is. And I love you all. Fight for your rights. I love you all. Stay safe.